I just didn't.
Hi everyone. It's the 18th of September. Do you realize that September is more than half over? Pretty soon it's going to be October. It's hard to believe. So here's what we're going to do tonight. Every week the call will be slightly different. There's notes to go with the call. Those will go on the Lifestyle for Health Facebook group page as a file. And tonight what we're going to cover is learning how important it is to recognize trends ahead of time. That also goes with season changes. So trends. The second thing we're going to do is I'm going to share some fun stories. Third thing is Forrest will talk about why affiliate programs are such a big deal all over the place in business, especially in the realm of health. And then I'm going to help with hopefully helping you understand that instead of thinking I have this disease label, this is what I should do, whether it's patches or supplements, it's more of symptoms and stress pathways. So that'll be in the notes. What I won't probably go over unless we have time, but the notes will have reminders on application, sensitivity, because we have found that Forrest has a slight sensitivity, things you can do, and then picking the best price and what each patch basically does. So all of that's in there just so you have it at quick convenience. And then we also put these videos out on our YouTube site, which is CherylTownsleyTV.com. So if we happen to actually do a really good call and you want to share it with somebody, it's in there by date and also kind of a title of what we covered. So
Teresa
you're up
asked if,
first.
the emails we send out on this, you can always send to anybody you want to invite to go through this because the super patch thing has been a learning curve for us. And so we know as we introduce it to all of our community that it's also a learning curve for you. When Cheryl and I engage with a company, we've engaged with a lot of companies over the last 35 years. We do our very best to make sure it's a good relationship. And some of those have been good. Some of them have been good for a while. Some of them have been great for a long time. Like Lumis Enzymes, how long have you been with Lumis Enzymes?
Almost 30 years.
30 years. They were our very first significant product line. So we are cautious about who we do business with. We've done business with a number of companies, and some have disappointed us. So as we begin to look at,
Could I add something to that?
that would be beautiful.
We really do our best to not only know if the products work, to vet the owners of the company, because that tells you what kind of integrity, I don't want to necessarily use morals, but what kind of integrity operates. And that's really important to know what's going to happen with products. So that's been true really for 35 years.
And on a couple of occasions, we've missed it. So that is what it is. But
But we've learned how to do a better
we have
job.
learned. So when we started looking at Super Patch, Cheryl got, as y'all know, excited about the patches because it's a breakthrough technology that really tied into her passion for neurology and how the brain functions because
And the gut because of Dr. Anna.
gut health tied in with that a lot. And then I had to decide, is this a company we wanted to work with? And initially my thought was, no, I don't, because it's just another thing. But then I started to listen to and dig into the owner of the company, Jay Dhaliwal. He's Indian, okay, by the way. A friend of mine said, Forrest, he looks kind of like an Indian carpet salesman. I said, I know, but we need to understand who he is and what he's done with his life. His parents were Indian immigrants. When he was 8 years old, he was hoping to get a bicycle for his birth for Christmas, and his mother said, "Go in the living room and see what your dad has for you." And he walked into the living room. This is the history of how he got to where he is. And he saw his dad building a bookcase with a large box on the floor, which clearly did not hold a bicycle. And in the box of books, after the bookcase was finished, was back then the World Book Encyclopedia set. And between the ages of 8 and 13, his dad had him write a summary for him of 10 pages out of Encyclopedia Britannica that he read to his dad every night for 5 years. That began his educational path to eventually becoming a very gifted software fellow, software engineer. After he got out of college, he said there was a trend. He said, you can see what's happening in the marketplace. You can see where things are going. You do not want to engage in what's happening right now. You want to see what's getting ready to happen, and you want to be in what's coming as opposed to what is. So he said the internet was very popular. And I remember, how many of you remember when the internet was getting started? How many of you remember going to Radio Shack and they had those 4-inch floppy disks with something called AOL mail on them? You could get your internet mail on those floppy disks. Yeah, Carolyn remembers that. And I remember buying my first computer, and It had the black screen with the green type on it. How many of you remember the green type? And the guy said, you ought to get one that does color. And I said, why do you need color? The green is more than adequate for what we're doing. And Jay said, I looked at all that and said, what's coming next is internet security, not the internet. And he made his first $100 million by the time he was 30 doing internet security.
Along with the next two.
And then the next two, he saw mobile phones came to market. And he said the issue is not mobile phones. The future was going to be distribution. And he bought distribution, global distribution for a major cell phone manufacturer, made money in that. And then he said, with the cell phones and the smartphones coming was apps. He said the money wasn't in apps, it was writing software for people that wanted to write apps. So those were his three businesses. And that was how he accumulated his first $125 million by the time he was 30 something. How many of you remember celebrating at age 30 your first $100 million in the bank account? Anybody remember doing that? I was thinking, Bill Gates. In 1972, I was skiing, kayaking, cutting firewood for 25 bucks a cord. And Bill Gates, just down the street in Seattle, I was at Mount Rainier, just down the street in Seattle, he and his friends were sitting in a little computer room at the University of Washington developing Microsoft. So some of us went one way and some of us went another way when it came to trends. But at that point, his mother had MS, and he decided to use his wealth, some of his wealth, to see if he could help solve her MS problems. And that began MS problems. And that began his 15-year, $25 million journey, which led him to understanding neurology and finding ways to actually help his mother move better. So out of that came something some of you may have remembered from a number of years back. A friend of mine called me up, wanted us to buy something called Vox socks, VOXX socks. Anybody remember Vox socks? There you go, Doretta. You could put a sock on. That was his first product. You could put this sock on. It had a special secret sauce woven into it. Frequency. And it actually helped his mother move better. It improved her balance. And since he was in Canada, he found that he could sell them to hockey players because it improved their balance and their ability to skate. He did notice, so from a trend standpoint, that in the summertime, nobody wanted to buy socks. So he saw that as a problem. And he realized also that there was a new trend coming. We had medical problems that there were not medical solutions for. So the trend he began to develop through this was saying, how do we solve medical problems with non-medical means? Does that make sense to any of you? How do we get solutions that are not tied to symptomology, to drugs, to side effects? This morning I was watching Amazon Prime, and I have to watch ads now to watch Amazon Prime. And it turns out that there's a really cool drug you can take when you're 25 years old to get rid of depression. And this drug is just amazing. The little gal on there, she went from sad to happy so fast. And then the list of side effects were crazy. And I thought, that little girl needs a peace patch. Or the joy patch, not a drug that's got 30. So Jay's piece was, how do we begin to solve these problems that society is facing with a non-medical intervention? And that led him from the socks to saying, okay, if we can put it in a sock, what if we put it in a patch that does the same thing? Cheryl will talk about that. That goes anywhere in your body, that sends a signal to the brain, i.e. the nervous system, right? How many of you are familiar with the placebo effect? Would you rather be healed by the placebo effect or a drug? Placebo effect actually works. But this goes beyond the placebo effect because it actually goes in and works with those.
Through all their testing, the P-score, placebo score, is 0.0001, which means it's a 1 in 1,000 chance that it's placebo. That's considered the gold standard in the medical industry. So this isn't placebo. This really is working on a pathway to the brain.
But the key with placebo is the brain actually deciding to do. The brain can actually decide to heal you. So how do we facilitate the brain doing what it needs to do? And I'll give you some good news that I found out today. We've got a couple new things coming in the next few months with Super Patch. They just launched their business in Mexico with the newest version of the patch, which we will be getting in the United States as they finish up the current ones and roll out the new ones. The new ones will be 2/3 small. They'll be 2/3 the size of this. So these are 2-inch by 2-inch patches. You'll be getting 1.5 by 1.5 inch patches. They will have a new adhesive on them, which is similar to the adhesive that is used surgically inside the body for adhesive purposes, and they will be breathable. So that's going to be very cool. So those will be coming out between now and January. They'll be fully launched by the time we get to January. So that's exciting to see that innovation. As Jay said, it took us $25 million to get started. The last 2 years have cost me $15 million in research and development to get to where we are. And now we're moving forward with something that we can easily share with all of our friends. And I will say that of all of the products that we have launched the last quite a while, we've never had, I think there's a curiosity and an enthusiasm for something easy. And when Cheryl started talking about it, people are like, oh, this is easy. And I've got people saying, oh, our friends want to try these too. So Super Patch is turning out to be fun. It's turning out to be easy. And it's turning out to provide some really, really fun, quick solutions for people. For me, I'm most excited that we can actually help people balance better, walk better, move better, which means guess what? We can train better. We can swing some clubs. We can lift some kettlebells. We can practice our squats. We can get out and walk. We can do things. We can get up and move. Mark and Ann, Mark, raise your hand and wave at everybody. Mark shared his testimony last week, had a back injury so bad he couldn't even go to PT, 2 patches, and now he can go to PT, and now he's getting up and he's doing better. And he's down to 1 patch. So, you know, for a few bucks, we are beating the PT game. So congratulations to Mark. Glenda's got her knees working better when it comes to going up and down the stairs.
I'm going to have her share her story in a minute.
She's going to
It'll
share
be
the
her day
story
for
just a
me.
second. I'm looking to see who else has got a story on here. And I'm just a happier person to be around.
More
And
focused.
I'm more,
Focused.
I'm not happier too. I'm more joyful. Okay. So that's kind of the quick history of the company. I think that history, to me, what matters is he didn't go out and just start a company because he was looking for an opportunity. He didn't just go find a product and try to sell it. He's on a mission. Okay, stop and think. If you had 100 million in the bank, would you be starting another company or would you just buy a little cruise ship and go
He
cruise?
thought he thought out of the box.
He thought out of the box. He said, I need to do something to make the world a better place. And he took his money and put his money where his mouth was and found a way to make people's lives better. So to me, we come back to who are we partnering with? Who are we working with? Who are we having fun with? Who are we doing things with? And I finally came to the conclusion that probably I needed to get to know this Jay guy and be a part of his mission and his company because it because Cheryl saw that it blended with lifestyle for health. And then I said, yes, I think we can make that become a viable reality for us. So anything else on that, Cheryl?
I think the only other thing I would say is we work with a lot of supplement companies, and a lot of times the owners are formulators, which that's not my skill at all. And formulation is a skill, and being able to produce products that work. One of the things I really liked about Loomis all those years ago is they never released a product that they hadn't tested with their lead doctors for at least 6 months to make sure that the results matched what they thought would happen when they were formulating the product. That's almost done never by most companies. The formulator gets a great idea, formulates a product, gets released, and then they find out if it sells or not. That's actually pretty normal. And that's why I do a lot of work with products before I release it to our community, because I've been burned way too many times that the marketing looked good, the science looked good, and it didn't work.
You know, there's science that proves just about everything. I was fascinated to listen to these Senate hearings the other day on people defending what we went through the last 4 years with vaccines. It's a great experience and just interesting. Nobody wants to actually talk about the science and see what actually worked, where we get results. Cheryl is our results person.
So I want to share just a few stories. Glenda, I'll have you share yours in just a moment. But I had a mom of three, 6 years old, 3 years old, and I think a year and a half. I think those are their ages. And she said, I basically haven't slept all night for 3 years. I am now sleeping through the night with REM. She swears by that. But Ignite, she said, I don't even think about food. It's not constantly on my mind. If I sit down in the evening, I don't think about what to go snack on. She said it took food out of being my companion and my comfort and what I went to, and I am all over the place with the kids. And It's just making it neutral. So that was kind of cool. I had another one. I shared this on Easy last night. It was kind of funny. And she said, "Want to hear a funny patch story? I put on a boost patch, boost in quotes, yesterday. Couldn't figure out why I had no appetite, why I wasn't hungry all day, bummed I didn't have any more energy. Got home that night from work, took off the patch and realized I'd put Ignite on and not Boost. So Ignite really helps take food out of being in the control seat, driver seat, and just lets it be neutral. It really works on metabolism and burning calories. Now, I shared this one on Easy, but this one's just such a cool story because it's someone we've known for probably 25 years and we hadn't seen her for a while. And she came out and spent some time. Both of her parents had passed and she'd gone back to be the primary caregiver for her parents. And she was just going through her story and I was just listening and asking questions. And one of the things she said is, I just can't stop drinking sodas. She said, in the past, whenever I knew I had to stop, I would just stop. And she said, I can't do it now. It's like, I can't do it. And I'm eating foods that I know aren't good for me, and I eat them anyway.
You know the
And
funny part? She has to get her soda at one particular fast food place because the ice, I mean, she'll go out of her way to get to
Sonic.
Sonic. I said, Coke is Coke. She said, why? I said, why Sonic? The ice is just the right level of soft. And I
So
said, is there a Sonic where you're looking at buying a home? She said, there always has to be a Sonic whenever I'm going someplace. I figure out where the Sonics are. I said, so you can't just buy a Coke and put it with ice? No, you have to have Sonic ice. Magdalena's laughing. She knows what Sonic ice is. I can tell.
So she was going through all of that, and this woman is really bright. She's got a phenomenal background. She knows a lot. But when you're talking pathways to the brain via the nervous system, you're really going to the brainstem cerebellum because what you know up here and what you do are two different things. And when this pathway is not working, it overrides what you know. So she knew what to do, but she wasn't doing it. And it wasn't about guilting her or shaming her. I was just listening. So after she had shared what she shared, I said, based on what you're saying, I'm just going to lay out 3 patches that you might want to muscle test because she's a big muscle tester. Um, she has a really strong health background. So she went and tested and she went, wow, all 3 of those test well. And I said, well, which one would be the best one to start with? It was Kick It. It was a one for bad habits. And she's already getting results. And she was here last weekend and left on Monday. So the other 2 were Peace and Joy. Kind of makes sense. So I'm realizing that Kick It is actually pretty important. We have some friends up in Canada, and they said the 2 patches that they end up finding more people start with, which surprised me, was Peace, which didn't surprise me because that's to handle stress, and Kick It because of bad habits. And we can go to bad habits when we're under emotional stress. So I just wanted to share that. Glenda, you had about 3 or 4 things happen to you. So why don't you share what you have found for you?
Okay, it's been a fascinating journey. I tried the piece, didn't really see anything, but the joy absolutely leveled me out to where I wasn't irritated. I could do things. It was almost like it was focus. I tried the focus and it definitely changed me. But I didn't tell you this last night, well, yesterday on the call. Last night, I slept through the night without waking up. I have not done that in many years. And I woke up this morning and I thought, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why, why didn't I wait? Why didn't I wake up? So it's been fascinating.
Wait,
I
wait, wait,
tried.
wait, wait, wait.
Okay.
So what did you wear yesterday? Were you wearing REM?
Yes.
Okay. So you put
Yes.
REM on, and what did you wear during the day?
I had on focus during the day.
And did you leave it on during the night?
I do. I have discovered that other than Boost, do not wear Boost at night. The focus is very good for me at night. I did the Freedom for Pain. I put Freedom on. I'm trying to remember. It's either my left or my right above the knee, about 4 inches above the knee. So it's the pain between the knee and the brainstem. and it affected both knees much better. It was huge. Um, so that surprised me. The other thing that I've got my notes here, excuse me while I look at them real quick. The Kick It didn't do much, but when I had the joy and the focus together, all my food cravings left. Doesn't make any sense. It's just one of those things that happened. Now, what I'm also finding out is like because I'm still waiting for my big batch of patches to come. So I'm kind of using up all my samples. I find that for me, the patches last easily 30 hours. And I don't recommend that, but I do muscle tests and I test what percentage of the strength in the patches left. So mine last a little longer. Um, I think the important thing, most important of all, is to literally write down what you put on, where you put it, and how you feel during the day. I was really hoping Kick It would make a big difference, but I think it's the joy that I need more than the Kick It, because that takes away my need to snack.
So I want to piggyback on what Glenda just said. In your notes somewhere, it's on, well, the notes when you get them. I think it's on page 2. Yes. What I tried to do is break down different pathways. And those pathways can be like energy, bad habits, pain, stress, which is your nervous system, balance, movement, posture, vagus nerve, focus, concentration, attention, athletic performance, stamina, recovery, discouragement, depression, anxiety, sleep, congestion, allergies, gut health, weight metabolism, stress eating metabolism, skin, ATP production, collagen depositing internally and externally, and ED, erectile dysfunction, nighttime urination for men or women, or hot flashes. So I put those down so you can start thinking pathways, because what Glenda said really, really well, sometimes eating foods that aren't the best for you isn't a bad habit. And based on what I know about Glenda, she probably doesn't do a lot of bad habits just for bad habits, but the focus or the joy is what's driving it. So I have found the discovery process for myself, with Forrest, with Anna, with clients, the discovery process of which pathway is my brain most struggling with. And when you discover that, that's really pretty cool. That's really just pretty
No,
cool.
that goes back to what you do in the body scan, because people come to you with a lot of issues, and if they've got 10 issues, the goal is not just to pick one. You want to get to the one that's the foundational issue when you're testing for food or supplements or emotions. There's always a
There's
foundation.
usually a root or a biggest contributor to that when you address it, a whole lot of things ripple out. So
If you're trying to address the item at the top, but not the bottom one, what happens? I mean, the one at the top might be a good issue, but if you miss the core, what happens?
well, you just don't get as you end up in the supplement world, you end up taking a whole lot of stuff because you didn't get to the main thing. And I will say that people I've been working with for over a month, as they're doing the patches, and it happens to be people I'm retesting, and I'm not looking for clients, I'm actually reducing one-on-one client load. But the ones that have been doing patches, their scores are so good, and they're being able to greatly reduce the quantity of supplements and how much they're taking. So the patches more than end up paying for themselves. So I'm kind of excited about, not kind of, I'm very excited about what I'm
I
seeing.
thought you were going to give everybody in the call tonight a free appointment to get themselves on the
No,
right path.
no, your free appointment is this call. Okay, why don't you talk about affiliate programs? What does that mean? How does that give people margin?
Okay, so the patches create mental margin, but these have been fun to share. And so, as I'm looking at the income side of this, there's a lot of things happening in the world today. And post-COVID, everything changed. People are looking for different ways to make income. People want the best price. Okay, inflation is kicking in, and no matter what you want to say about the economy, it's tougher out there. We've got tariffs. Super Patch is dealing with the fact that they pay tariffs on all their stuff coming from the U.S. into Canada. So
No,
people want.
Canada into US.
No, it's made in the United States, then it goes into Canada because they're Canadian companies.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are in transition in the world today, and we've got very few clients for whom money is not an issue. So people want the best price. People like to make a little referral fee when they refer people to something. We get a little referral fee. I make $100 or so every time somebody buys one of these. I mean, a month when Cheryl refers out the little, what are these called?
Aries Tech.
Aries Techs. I've got a glutathione product we've been selling for 30 years. I still make a little bit on that. So anytime we get some affiliate fees, we like that a lot. Benefit to affiliate programs is you don't have to have inventory, and it just gives you a quick income. So one of the benefits that I see with Super Patch is they've given us several ways to proceed with that. When you become a member, and I like the word member better than associate. When you become a member, and all of you need to become members because most of you start out as customers. Now, we start with customers because the customer program on your first order gives you the discounted price of $45 with the benefit of a 30-day use up all the product, get your money back, no questions asked. So order all the products, try them for 30 days. I can't do that. In other words, I'm not doing the refunds here. People want the refund thing. Glenda's not doing refunds when she sells hers, I don't think. If you want the guarantee, you buy it direct from Super Patch through their customer program. Now, after your first order, your customer price goes to $60, which is their retail price. When you purchase membership for $40 for an entire year, your price goes to $45 a patch, a packet, a packet. And the new packets, by the way, will have 30 patches in them. But they also give you one other thing because they want to encourage you to be consistent with your purchases. So they call it, some people call it auto ship. I call it smart ship because what you can do on smart ship, which is very easy to manage, and this is only available to members, is when you purchase four, okay, so 4 times 45 is 160, 170, 180, and they give you one for free. So you're getting 3 for 135.
4.
No, you're getting 3. You're getting 4 for the price of 3. Like the other night, Magdalena ordered a number of them. I think she ordered 10, which meant out of the 10, she paid for 8. So she paid $45 for 8, got 10. 45 times 8 is 300 and something. If she bought all 10 of them at regular price, she'd have spent $600. So that is a great deal. When you purchase membership, they give you what I call an affiliate website. Mine is forest.superpatch.com. Most of you have bought product there because you can just go there, click the shop button, and put in that first order, and they ship directly to you. And you get the product at the discount, and I get my affiliate commission. My referral commission is 25%. So every time I send somebody to my affiliate site, forest.superpatch.com, I make 25% on that. So last month it was a couple $100. And I've kind of come to see that every time we make a couple $100, that's a good thing. It usually goes in the savings plan at this point. It goes someplace. So that affiliate commission is great on that. And then as a member, you've got the option to go ahead and become more actively involved in our team building and building our community. A friend of mine last night said, Forrest, the last few years I've missed community. She said, is there a Super Patch community I can be a part of? It's kind of like we have this community right here with you guys. People want to be a part of a community, and a community that's doing something making America better. You look at all of the people today signing up for Turning Point USA. There's a lot of kids, especially kids that are wanting to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So this is not Turning Point, this is Super Patch, but it's still a community. It's helping us be healthier and stronger and all that. So that's kind of the nutshell version of the affiliate program, the membership program, and the best way to save money on your product. Now, if you've got a challenge with any of that, just call me because it's easier for me to help you get it right the first time than it is for you to make a mistake and then I have to go fix it, okay? Cheryl, what's the question there?
Davina, excuse my ignorance. What's GTTs? It's not ringing a bell. Unmute yourself.
We are not shipping to,
Glucose tolerance tests,
Okay.
like
Okay.
what you do before you're pregnant or during pregnancy to see if you've got gestation time. I'm not pregnant, but that's the kind of test.
Okay. So Davina put a comment in the chat and she has chronic stress. So I want to teach you guys how to think. If someone's under chronic stress, what might be a patch to start with? Unmute and just say a word.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace is designed to help put the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems in balance. When we're under stress, we're living in our sympathetic mode, which is fight or flight. So we're like this. The whole purpose of the peace patch is to put them in balance. And then that'll impact your vagus nerve, which ends in the gut. And just remember that anytime you put, to a certain degree, anytime you put a brain pathway in balance, you're helping the gut because the gut-brain connection is very, very strong. The second thing you're talking about is leaky gut. Leaky gut is a collagen issue. Leaky gut is poor absorption issue. And so the skin patch, which is called Lumi, Lumi, when you have poor collagen, if you're in our Easy program, I talked about that last night, didn't I?
That's coming up.
No, that's coming up next week. I don't always remember which week I'm on. When you start to lose collagen in your face, you already have lost collagen in your gut because the top part of, or let me just hit mute. That top tier within the gut is collagen. And when it's been compromised, the gut is fully compromised. Absorption is off. You'll have achy joints. You'll have muscle weakness. You'll have bone density issues. And all of the skin throughout your body will lose its vitality, its strength. It'll be crepey skin. And so Lumi would be helping with that leaky gut. And then
That's
SIBO,
gonna take a little bit of time. That's
that
not.
one takes some time, but I've been wearing it for about 3 weeks. I can definitely tell a difference. For me, because I've done the, our Prima Skin spray for 2 years, and that made a big difference. But what Lumi's doing is all the age spots I've had on my arms. I've done the OHS protocol. I did spraying. None of that took care of it because that's more liver detox and they're down about 70%. So I know the Lumi works and I've seen it work on a lot of different rashes and skin issues. The third thing you're talking about with SIBO, that's the gut, and Defend is designed to work on the gut, to work on the allergies and congestion that go with the gut. It also works on your immune system. There's about, let's see.
Can I just jump in? The other thing to look at on that, Davina, we've been doing a lot. You may have seen us talking about the El Rudra yogurt from Dr. William Davis. And Dr. Davis has a book called what? Leaky Gut?
No, gut health.
Super Gut.
Super gut.
Super Gut. And he goes through a whole process for SIBO that's very effective using yogurts that you make yourself. So that would be, and that's very affordable because you can do that there. The company currently does not distribute in Australia. They're in the process of doing that. But the good news is I have a postage meter and I can put a stamp on an envelope and ship to you there. So to pursue that, just send an email to info@lifestyleforhealth.com and we'll figure that out. Because what we'll do is you would just need to do a payment over PayPal or something like that, and then we can ship to you because they go in an envelope. So I don't think they're going to get hit with customs. I think it'll just slide through incognito, so to speak. But they are working on distribution in Australia. It's just not there yet. Okay.
So these are in the notes that you can get when we send out the replay. Defend works on congestion, enhanced blood flow. So that's also nitric oxide, faster recovery, itching. What it's been found in both surgery and in testing is that it helps to prevent infections. So with Dr. Anna Toker, it's one of the key ones that she puts people on before surgery and after surgery so they don't get sick in the hospital because of all the stuff in hospitals. Blood
Can you
flow,
use that at night? Can you use
Pardon?
Bend at night?
I would wear it 24 hours.
Okay.
And the blood flow quality improves within 2 hours. So that's pretty impressive. People are using it for full moon cleanses. So what I'm thinking about doing in October is just wearing the Defend patch for 5 days or 7 days instead of doing all the Cellcore, which I've done lots of, and I think it's great. So I'm not replacing that. I just want to see what it would do during a full moon cleanse. It helps with circulation. It's great during travel, when you're in airports, when you're around people that are sick, and it helps with allergies because it's really the allergy pathway that's being addressed. So the three that I would consider would be Peace, Lumi, and Defend. And if you're a sensitive person, you could always start with one, and then the next day add the second one, add the third one. That way, if you have any response, you have a question about, you can send a question to info@lifestyleforhealth.com. I'll be glad to work with you as part of our community. That's just part of what I do. I don't charge for that. And we'll see what happens, because this is also how I learn, and I love learning how people get results. And then if something doesn't work, what question could I have asked to help pinpoint a better answer for somebody? So does that help you?
Davina, so the company's been selling these for 2 years. So how long you're going to need them and use them for? We don't have definitive answers on that. It depends on how long it takes the brain to reprogram and get those neural pathways working. But I think we'll discover that over the coming years. But there's not going to be an overkill because if your brain, for example, has been in constant overdrive for the last 30 years, it's not going to just go back to normal in a week or two. It's going to take a continued effort. If I've been smoking cigarettes all my life, it's going to take a little while to clean all of that out. So there's an ongoing process with that, okay?
So let me help you understand when you said, is this going to be overkill with your supplements or meds? There are no contraindications with any medication because there's no ingredients. So you don't have an ingredient interfering with a supplement or a med. This is a really important concept. When I finally really got the epiphany that when a brain pathway through the nervous system to the brain, like the allergy immune system pathway, when it's out of balance, you can be taking a lot of supplements, but the whole electrical system isn't running up to par. So at best, you're going to get some relief, but it totally changes when you bring neurology into the picture. That's why I'm so excited about this, because I get what neurology does. And I've not had anybody react negatively to the patches with supplements or with food or with meds. Nobody. The only time somebody has had a negative reaction is when the outcome of that pathway isn't perceived as safe by the brainstem cerebellum. The easiest one to explain that concept is with sleep. If someone has had trauma at night, abuse at night, or something that made nighttime unsafe, and that rest and sleep isn't safe because what if something happens to me? And so they're in that red alert because of a perceived safety issue, which is run by this. And that safety belief, perception, paradigm will override putting the pathway into balance. It's extraordinarily rare, but I just pretty much anybody that's had a reaction, I've asked enough questions and they went, here's where my problem is. We talk about how they can work through it. And most of them get through it pretty quickly because it was a belief in that area of being balanced. The most common one is REM. I don't foresee that with Peace, Lumi for skin, and Defend for the gut.
Okay. Jane, thank you for your question. Really good question. So the good news is, yes, it is a Canadian company. No, you're not going to pay extra because guess what? It's $45 US, but it's also $45 Canadian. So Canadians are paying the same price. They're actually pricing these in the currencies of the country. So you would be paying $45 Canadian, and for you, it would be shipping from Canada. So we sell I just repackage it and make the little sample packs that a lot of people bought. So I put 7 patches in a little baggie, and we sell this for $15. And I think I make a few dollars doing that because I love repackaging stuff. But the best thing for you to do, Jane, would be to go to my website, my affiliate website, forest.superpatch.com.
That's if she wants to get whole packets.
Yeah, but see, this in Canada, this is going to work better because we don't have to go through all of this problems between the two countries. And then when you order from them, you're going to get the 30-day guarantee. When you click on the shop button, it will come up and ask you what country you're in, and you'll just pick Canada. Like Davina, it won't say Australia right now. Okay, but it'll say Canada. So you put in Canada, and then it's going to give you the prices in Canadian dollars, which is 45 Canadian. Big deal for folks that live in Canada because normally that 45 would be about 70 bucks.
So
And then just a
Davina,
second. Just a
so tell Davina how she's going to order.
I already did.
Okay.
So that would be the way for you to do that, Jane. And then just order what you want on that first order, get the 25% discount. And yeah, their website talks about the science. The website is a wonderful website. It's very educational, very informative, and they've got a lot of their white papers and research on there. But from an education standpoint, if you all go to our YouTube channel, Lene will type it in, CherylTownsleyTV.com. Cheryl, as fast as she can, is making videos on each of the products, on what she's learning, and we're posting what we think are the best videos from the doctors and their board and from Jay on how this whole thing works, okay? They're being very careful in their science to not cross the fine line of making any medical claims. We have to be very careful not to make medical claims, which is the beauty of this product. Because we can't say, that it cures a disease, but we can say it increases your peace. It helps you do these different things. So does that make sense, Jane? Does that make it easy for you too? Just a second.
I got that.
Okay, so Jane's good. And again, just email info@Lifestyle for Health, and Lene and I can help you with any of those questions. And Cheryl was kind enough to say emails to her. There's no charge for questions, so we will forward them to her. If you have questions like Davina just raised up, Cheryl will help you work through that. Okay?
So Davina, you mentioned autistic husband and child. I'm working with a couple of moms right now. I would love to work with parents who would like to find options for their children wherever they are on the spectrum. I don't yet know what will work, but what I know is that's a brainstem cerebellum issue. Now, whether it will be peace and focus, I don't know, but I would love to work with you. So if you decide to, get some from Force, whatever you decide to do on getting the product, then please contact me and let me know what you try, what you notice, and what are some other issues, because I would love to find ways to help parents dealing with autistic children.
The focus patch they're finding is really good for kids. Our brains were not designed to scroll. Our brains were designed to be outside, focused on one thing at a time, and our kids are just all over the place. And I suspect at some point, Jay's going to have a patch for dealing with detox from, we're looking at all the vaccine issues now, all those things that may have caused some of this. The challenge is, as he said, I have patches that solve problems that my lawyers will not let me sell because of legal issues. That's kind of where we're at on all of that. Veronica, you asked about the intro packs. Again, what I did is, and they're on the website, they're on lifestyleforhealth.com. You can order there. I just have intro packs, which means I just put 7 of each in a packet, and I write on it what it is, and you pay me $15 for 7. And that's what got Glenda started.
That means that you tell Forrest which one of the packets you want to try. So there'd be like 7 of peace, 7 of focus, 7 of each one.
That's all on the web. That's all on lifestyleforhealth.com. When you hit shop and then type in the patch, or you can email me, Veronica, and we'll help with that.
Do you have all of them on the website now?
We're close. It's been crazy keeping up with this because we already had a full-time business, and then Cheryl said, "I know, let's sell patches." And I said, "Okay, that'll be great." And then teaching everybody this whole process. But I think it's gonna, the fun part of this story is we've been in a season change. We've known that since the first of the year. Cheryl started praying and saying, "What are we going to do for a season change?" And I was like, "Why don't we just not change? Why don't we just stay the same?" And then this came along. So, okay, let's see if you've got other questions in here. If anybody's got questions, because
Wait.
just a second. Probably I need to email you. Veronica, it's info@Lifestyle for Health. Lene's typed that in. Okay, Davina said, it sounds like the patch needs to work with supplements. For example, calm the brain with peace, but working on fixing the leaky gut. If you're not eating gluten, yes,
So here's the thing.
a combination. She wants to know about a combination of stuff.
I have yet to learn how much changes when you put a specific pathway into balance. From neurology, I know it can change a whole lot, like more than most of us even could begin to comprehend. So, is getting rid of things like gluten, especially glyphosate, yeah, that's important. Getting rid of processed food, seed oils, yes, that's useful. But a lot of times, what we're doing, people are not necessarily eating the best, and then they're taking a lot of supplements to mitigate this and to mitigate their stress that they're under. And everything comes back to stress, which leads to inflammation, which leads to everything else. So you've got this big circle. And so last year in Lifestyle for Health, we really focused on detox, parasite cleanses. Cellcore provided some great resources for that. And we got some great results. Now, the trainer that I had from Cellcore, Shannon, I mean, she's like a daughter now. We just did so much together. But when somebody in her family had an issue, we found the patches solved, but the supplements couldn't. And it got her attention. She's no longer working with Cellcore. It got her attention, and she's talking to quite a few practitioners because this does something that a supplement can't do. And then once these pathways, whichever ones are off in you, and not everyone is off in anybody, I don't think. I don't actually know that, but I think there's going to be maybe 2, 3, or 4 that are crucial. When you get that in balance, many things can change because you're changing how you think, and your brain runs every health condition in the body. Everything. It runs your vision, it runs your hearing, it runs your balance, it runs pain. It's all run by the brain. And that's why we teach neurology, because those are things you can begin to do, in essence, to rehab your brain and body. And neurology and patches are like a phenomenal combination. So, how much can be restored? I'm learning as fast as I can. And what does that mean for supplements? I don't know. I just know I'm seeing people take less, which I'm thrilled about because I'm never about selling you stuff. I'm about getting results. So,
I kind of like selling people stuff because that gives me the results that pay the bills. But that's just a side note. Our goal is to provide, really at Lifestyle for Health, it's always been about educating people. Yes, we sell products, but we really want to make sure that you're getting results of the products and getting value. And those things have changed. The seasons have come along, seasons have changed. And, right post COVID, as Cheryl said, post COVID, we needed new tools, new skills, new communities. We just needed a lot of new things post COVID to deal with everything that has happened since then, people's emotions, their health, their communities. It's all changed. And for all of you that are believers, this last week has been really traumatic. It's been really hard on all of our community. It's, I started to talk about it and you struggle with it, but it's been very exciting to watch young people rising up and saying it's time for us to let our voices be developed. So
I will add to what Forrest said because I've been working with clients for about 38 years, a long time, pretty good at what I was doing. 2020 hit. Everything that happened with COVID, when people got that, whatever, the vaccines, the lockdown and isolation, going more sedentary, being on computers more, Zoom just shot through the roof. What I knew before simply was not enough to deal with what happened in 2020. And so companies who haven't radically changed their offerings since 2020, they're old school. They don't have the oomph to deal with what's going on. That's when we met OHS. OHS helped us get through that. Cellcore took us to another level with detoxification parasites, but the patches, because of the stress load on the brains and the rate of change happening in our world, what used to take 10 years, it's 3 months. Our brains weren't meant to handle that kind of change because our brains actually don't like change. It wants to stay where it's been. So you put all that together. That's why I look at what Jay does and how he thinks. I think he's brilliant to realize that we need to work these brain pathways and get them into homeostasis and balance.
that's part of why, partnering with him from a business perspective made sense to us because he thinks differently. He thinks differently than a lot of people do. He looks where the world is going, and he's really built his company and his team around people that understand where the world is and how he's going to get there. His mission, he said, I'm planning on 5 generations. All 3 of my kids are getting college degrees and training to be able to take over the company. He said, because we have people around the world that will not be able to be touched or healed with medical products where we can send in a patch at the appropriate time and make a difference in those people's lives. And, I don't know how much a patch actually costs to make, but it's got to be a pretty affordable thing to send a little patch to somebody in some third world nation and say this makes things better. So we're excited about that mission of where this goes the next 10 or 15 years generationally to solving problems that there currently are not solutions for. Like that little ad I saw, this drug with all the side effects for somebody that's depressed. I mean, Glenda, you work with depressed people, you counsel people all the time. What if we can just do this instead of a medication with a side effect and begin to put depression back? What if we have a community, like Teresa asked me, she said, is there a community I can be a part of? Are there people I can connect with? Because we want to stop doing Zoom calls and get out and see people again. So I don't want to do anything else on here. We're coming up on an hour.
Let me answer.
Any more
Long haul COVID is a big issue, but what we know absolutely is it's neurological and its impact. You've got to support the brain. Vitamin D is very important. We've got 2 on our website. A binder, biotoxin binder, is really good to help pull the toxins out. I'm beginning to see peace and defend probably being pretty critical.
Also, the long haul got into the brain stem. And so when we look at pathways, Liberty is designed to go in and restore balance in the brain stem. So Liberty
And it works on the vagus nerve.
works on the vagus nerve. And long haul, you see people, they lose their mobility, they lose their balance, they have nausea, they have problems getting up and moving. So I would probably, Teresa, start with
Peace, liberty, and defend.
and
And
do
then
one.
make sure you're doing vitamin D, probably a double dose.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Unmute. We've got 5 minutes. And it's really good to see different people on here. And again, thank you for joining us. Hopefully this will be helpful to you all. Ron, you got something, bud?
Yes, my wife has an overactive bladder, and even with her urologist, they did a tibia nerve stimulation process where they put in acupuncture and then attach a medical device to stimulate it. Can you do a patch kind of in the same place, and which patch to use?
Well, nighttime urination or over urinating, supposedly Rocket is designed to help that, male or female. And every patch was designed to be put anywhere on the body with some caveats. With pain, wherever your pain point is, you want to put it above the pain, between the pain point and the brain versus below it. You want it above. When it comes to others, for sure, do not put it where there's any nerve damage. A really good friend who had a stroke and she couldn't move her right arm, I had her put it here because I thought, well, that's where the problem is. That meant no signal got to her brain, no difference. We moved it over here. There is a difference in 24 hours and 48 hours. And so you don't want to do it where there's nerve damage, scar tissue. I personally would avoid tattoos, medical tattoos or regular tattoos, because there is some nerve damage through that. I know there's pictures of people wearing patches on tattoos. If there's another part of the body, I would look at another part of the body.
Thank you.
Just a second, with defend, some people put it on their abdominal area. Some people found that didn't work for them. So there are personal preferences. What's running through my mind, Ron, I don't know if this would work for Carla, but you might want to put it on her back above the kidney area, either on either side or on the spine. You might try that. You could try it in different places. That one can take 2 to 3 weeks before that one will kick in. So it's not going to be one that typically is just, oh, it's going to make a difference in 24 hours. That one will be a little bit longer. And knowing just only slight aspects of other things going on, focus might be another one that might help in that process.
Maggie asked about reordering. Anybody that's got order questions, that's all I've been doing this last week is teaching people how to order and keep it really easy. It's not quite Amazon, So I got to show you how to do that and make it work.
But once you
Um,
know how to do it, it's
And
easy.
and what I'm doing is we're going to get some videos made, but right now I'm just trying to do one-on-ones with everybody so that you maximize the savings, maximize the benefits, and use all of the tools. And then we're really tapping in. I've asked Cheryl just to keep showing up each week with what she's learning with clients so you guys can maximize these. B, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to understand a little bit more about the basic neurology. So, what is the stimulus that gives the response? Cheryl mentioned that there's no ingredients. So, is it like e-stim or what is it?
Okay, great question. I spent an hour with a client, spent 15 minutes explaining the technology, and then she emailed me and said, please send me a list of the ingredients. And it was like, clearly I didn't do a good job. So each patch has like a thumbprint. So think of a QR code. When you use a QR code, that will send you to a specific website. When you put a patch on, the curves and the textures of what's on the patch, like I think I have a patch right here. This is for Lumi, for skin. So the side that goes next to the skin has these little curves and ridges, and every patch, it's unique. It's a signal. It's a signal, no ingredients. And when you put a signal on the skin, it instantly goes through the nervous system to the brainstem pathway that those signals are designed for.
Like frequency.
Yeah, so think of it this way, B. If I tell you to close your eyes and I hand you this, you're going to right away figure out it's a pen. If your back is to me and I take my finger and I spell your name on your back with my finger, about halfway through, you're going to go, he's spelling B. If, on the other hand, I hand you this, you're going to go, that's a glass of cold water. The skin, all the proprioceptive nerves in the skin, the pathways from the skin, it's your biggest organ, but it sends a massive amount of information to the brain.
Okay.
And the same as if, there's a little bug walking on my hairs, right? We go, oh, creepy stuff. Okay, the skin sends signals to the brain responds. So that was what Jay figured out in this whole thing. It's like I can send a message to the brain via the skin, and then it was all of these. He had 250,000 EEG brain scans, and he started looking at creating these. And nobody except him knows how he did it, but he started making all these different patches and going, "Here's how I'm going to talk to the brain." The same as they figured out how to make braille bumps for Helen Keller to read. Remember, we made braille bumps, and the braille person can read the bumps with their fingers, and those bumps send a signal to the brain. Okay, same kind of thing. Our fingers, you and I run our fingers over the braille bumps we don't know. Same thing with this. This signal goes into the brain. So it's a signaling system. It's an activation system because your skin is sensitive. The same as I can take an acupuncture point and stick a pin in it, and it impacts something else in your body instantaneously. Okay. Anything?
Just a second, let me add to that.
Yeah.
That's a big, 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 big concept. But when you actually get an epiphany that a signal on your skin goes directly through the nervous system to that exact address for that pathway that's out of balance, it instantly puts that pathway into homeostasis. And that's been proven with EEG testing. EEG test shows it's a dysfunctional pathway. You put the patch on for that pathway, it goes to balance. Take the patch off, it goes back to imbalance. They have proven that over and over. And as I started hearing the testing they did, the double-blind placebo studies, the placebo chance of being 1 in 1,000, and you start understanding how signals work, and you understand that the brain runs everything. You're simply working on one or multiple pathways being in balance. That's all it does. It's just like, it's so big, but the more I'm learning and putting it in with what I already knew, it's like, this is huge. This is like so huge. That's why I get excited, because it's breakthrough. And I see people that are struggling, that are taking so many supplements, and then they beat themselves up, or they're whatever is going on. I'm seeing dramatic changes in people, and as a healer, I'm not just a practitioner, I'm a healer. It's it's very exciting to see. And I really care about kids and seeing children have breakthroughs that just don't require medical intervention.
Yeah, Teresa, we've got, on our Facebook page, our main Facebook page is where Lene posts these. She'll put the notes there when Cheryl gets them to her. All of the videos we're doing this are going onto our YouTube channel, so you guys can share them. We're careful not to say anything we can't say about the patches, and it usually takes a day or two for us to get caught up. Lene gets her part done immediately. I take me a day. I've got to catch up this weekend, but all of these go in. We have a playlist on the YouTube channel for super patches, and all of these calls are getting dropped into there. So
So if you go to CherylTownsleyTV.com and the search button put patch, you'll get a playlist of all the videos I've done, the ones that I thought were the most helpful.
not that, don't do a search. You'll just see playlist, and then they click.
Okay, but I just always put in patch and it shows me the playlist.
Just click the play. Just click
Pick
playlist.
way.
Click your playlist. Okay. Anything else, real quick?
Was this helpful tonight? Did you learn something? Okay. I want to pray for you before we turn off. We'll be back next week. And remember, questions can always go into info@lifestyleforhealth.com. Father God, I thank you for how intricate and awesome our bodies are. What you have created could never have evolved. It's just impossible. Father, we are amazing creations. You have called us and put in us an identity for this season. You have called us with a purpose. And as people get healthier, it's so that they can live out their God-given purpose. So, Father, I thank you as the great physician, as Abba Papa. I ask that you would give people wisdom beyond their understanding because they're asking. You say that if you have not because you ask not. So, Father, I ask that you would cause each and every person on the call or replay to ask you, what would help me? Who are you calling me to be in this season? What pathway could I most benefit from? How can I even ask questions of Forrest and Cheryl? Father, give people courage and confidence that we actually care that they get results. But more importantly, Father, you care. You care. You never want to leave someone where they are, and you always have a unique way to bring healing and restoration and refreshing. So, Father, I just speak blessing over each and every person on this call. I thank you for redeeming and restoring hope, redeeming and restoring courage to take another step. I thank you, Father, for blessings, empowered to prosper and do well spiritually, physically, emotionally, relationally, financially, in every area of their life. I ask, Father God, that you would continue to teach us how to be wise stewards, to be builders of health and wellness and wholeness. And I ask, Holy Spirit, that whatever was spoken tonight that would speak to each and every person individually, that you would water it, nurture it, nourish it, and bring forth a mighty harvest. And anything that we said for any individual person that's a distraction, let it fall by the wayside so it doesn't distract from what you're doing. I thank you that you are the great physician. You are our Abba Papa, and you always have a way through whatever we're going through. And we just give you all the praise, the glory, and the honor. And everyone said amen. And you
And
want to say?
yeah, just a reminder, if anything is confusing, just email me, and then we'll solve the problem that way. Okay. And right now there's two of us running the office, and Lene's helping, but she's in Fort Hays, so she's not here. So sometimes it's taken a day to get back to you, but just email and we'll keep you moving from there. Okay. Because this is going to be fun. We're excited about it. It's fun. I look at people like Mark and I go, he's up and walking. His wife, Ann, raise your hand and wave real quick. Ann's a seamstress. She was having trouble holding on to the needle. It's hard to be a seamstress when you can't hold on to the needle when you're sewing. And she's now holding on to her needle again with one patch. That's like very cool, right, Ann? Yes. Okay.
We're going to say good night. We'll
We'll
see you
next
next
Thursday.
week. Bye, everyone.
Good education. Thank you.
Thanks, Retta.